Top military leaders in Ukraine insist the grinding 9th-month battle for Bakhmut is not over, despite Russian claims to have captured the entire Ukrainian city. While Ukrainian Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar has said that Ukrainian troops still control the southwestern outskirts of the city and that fighting was continuing in the suburbs on Russia's flanks. Pakistan's Defense Minister Khwaja Asif has said that they are considering banning former Prime Minister Imran Khan's political party Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. The move comes days after political instability caused by Imran Khan's arrest on May 9th on corruption charges before he was released on bail on court orders. Imran Khan's arrest sparked deadly protests across the country, with army establishments being attacked and state buildings set ablaze. The Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, has said that she is confident that the country would be able to meet its commitments to the International Monetary Fund. Amid a worsening economic crisis, Bangladesh has seen depreciation of the taka currency and a decline in its foreign exchange reserves. In January this year, the IMF approved loans of $4.7 billion to Bangladesh for immediate disbursement. China slammed NATO's plans to open a liaison office in Tokyo to deepen Asia-Pacific ties. Stating that the region does not welcome NATO's plans, China cautioned Japan on issue of military security. Beijing's reaction comes after the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said that the country had no plans to become a NATO member. Visiting Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin has signed a set of economic agreements with China, describing bilateral ties between both the countries at an unprecedented high. During the talks, Chinese Premier Li Qiang said that he was willing to take pragmatic cooperation between the countries to a new level. Mishustin is the highest-ranking Russian official to visit Beijing since Moscow sent thousands of its troops to Ukraine in February of 2022. The visit comes after Russia and China reacted furiously to the Group of Seven Nations weekend declarations that singled both countries out on a range of issues, including Ukraine. Russian-installed authorities in Crimea have announced a new wave of asset seizures targeting Ukrainian-owned properties on the annexed peninsula. In video address, the governor of Crimea said that the property seized includes large wine-making enterprises, banking structures, and apartment belonging to Volodymyr Zelensky, as well properties of those contributing to the anti-Russian regime in Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin has claimed that Ukraine did not exist in history of mankind. And Putin made the statement while looking at a map of the 17th century brought to him by chairperson of the Constitutional Court, Valery Zorkin. Describing the situation in Sudan as heartbreaking, the United Nations Human Rights Chief Volker Turk has urged the two warring generals in Sudan to stop sexual violence and spare the lives of civilians. Fighting in Sudan that broke out more than a month ago has killed hundreds of civilians and forced more than 1 million people to flee the violence. Turkey's anti-immigrant Victory Party leader Umit Özdağ has endorsed opposition presidential candidate Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu as he aims to defeat President Tayyip Erdogan in Sunday's runoff election. The Nationalist Victory Party received about 2.2% support in the May 14th parliamentary vote. One year before the Olympic Games, hundreds of people are taking part in a crisis management exercise in the busy in Paris Defense arena, during which a 15,000-seat stand collapsed. As the stadium will host Olympic events, training is being given on how to deal with a real-life situation. Bolivian lawmakers, the ruling party and the opposition hit, kicked and pushed each other during the presentation of a report by Interior Minister in the parliament. Opposition lawmakers showed banners in protest, and in response, ruling party lawmakers tried to remove the banners, causing clashes. Hundreds of protesters took to the streets in Sydney to rally against the extradition of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange to the United States. Calling for her husband's release from incarceration, Assange's wife said that he needs to be free because the world needs press freedom. Ecuador's President Guillermo Lasso signed a decree law to create new free zones. These new free trade zones in economically depressed areas and border areas will promote investment, employment and also productive deployment. Duty-free trade zones are especially geographic areas where any productive sector may benefit from tax and customs incentives with a view to exports. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has said that Interior Minister Suella Braverman's handling of a speeding fine last year did not amount to a breach of ministerial code, and added that there would be no further investigation. Rishi Sunak's decision comes after opposition parties had called on the Prime Minister's ethics advisor to investigate whether she breached ministerial rules. Keeping our focus on the United Kingdom, former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has been referred to police by the government's Cabinet Office over new allegations of him breaking lockdown rules during the COVID-19 pandemic. The Cabinet Office said that it had made a referral to 2 regional police forces based on information discovered in ministerial diary inquiries and also entries while preparing submissions for a public inquiry into the pandemic. Johnson has previously been fined by police for attending an event to celebrate his birthday in Downing Street in June of 2020. Clamour is growing for the release of Afrobeat star Seun Kuti, who was arrested earlier this month after being accused of assaulting a police officer in the commercial hub of Lagos. Several demonstrators took to the streets holding placards demanding the singer's release.
There is victory for us. There is victory for
A Chilean court on Monday ordered the preventive detention of 4 Navy officers charged with the murder of a homeless and disabled man. The detention came after the release of dramatic CCTV footage reportedly showing 6 people standing around the victim on May 19th. One of the assailants hits the victim in the head with a crutch on at least one occasion, and while a security patrol is seen at the scene talking to some of the people there and then departing. The victim died shortly afterwards in a hospital. A judge ruled that the Marines must serve their detention in a naval unit during the 120-day investigation period. Several dozen protesters pelted police with objects and set cars and trash cans ablaze in Cardiff, the capital of Wales, after local unrest erupted over two teenagers dying in a road crash. Two teenage boys, aged 15 and 16, died in a car crash involving an electronic bicycle in the Ely district of the Welsh capital on Monday evening. Police said that they were supporting the bereaved families and arrested the rioters. Around 15 officers have been injured, with 11 needing hospital treatment after the riots took place. A nurse died in northeastern France following an attack by a mentally challenged man. The incident took place at Reims University Hospital. A medical secretary was also wounded in the attack. Former US President Donald Trump will face a criminal trial tomorrow over falsifying business records to conceal money paid to silence porn star Stormy Daniels back in 2016. Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 criminal counts of falsifying business records. A judge in Manhattan State Court announced that the date during a hearing in which the former US President appeared remotely from Florida. Now, this means that Trump will be going on trial during the heart of the 2024 presidential nominating primaries, when he and his rivals will be crisis and will also be crisscrossing the country to drum up support. Ride-hailing platform Uber Technologies is stepping up its efforts to go green in India by introducing more electric vehicles. As part of the launch of Uber Green in June, the company is joining hands with Zip Electronic and to roll out about 10,000 electric two-wheelers in Delhi by 2024. Giving its users the option to hire electric vehicles while booking their ride, the company says that it will partner with SIDBI to provide $122.3 million in EV financing and also expand its tie-up with EV fleet providers such as Lithium, Everest and Move. A fashion show was held at a women's prison in La Paz, Bolivia, where female inmates debuted their traditional Indian garments. Models wearing classic multi-layered Indian skirts, calling the poleras, strutted on the red catwalk, showcasing designs of shawls and other items they made themselves. The prison has 215 inmates, out of which 22 took part in the event. This program is aimed at inculcating skills in the inmates so they might use them upon their release, as well as restoring self-confidence following some time in jail. Former prisoners of war from the Vietnam War gathered at the Nixon Presidential Library in California to mark the 50th anniversary of their return home. The veterans first took part in a parade where they were greeted by hundreds of cheering supporters waving US flags along the parade route. Later, an official ceremony took place on the grounds of the library, with one of the veterans noted saying that during his entire 6.5 years in prison, he had absolutely zero doubt that his country would never forget him and that he would be brought back home. Satellite images show how Typhoon Mawar is battering the U.S. territory of Guam with torrential rains and powerful winds. The storm was packing maximum sustained winds of 225 kilometers per hour. It has been categorized as dangerous category 4 typhoon. U.S. President Joe Biden has declared a state of emergency on the island, paving the way for federal aid. There are at least 170,000 inhabitants on the island, and local authorities have issued evacuation orders and also opened temporary shelters. A deadly epidemic has spread through the Red Sea, killing an entire species of sea urchins in Israel's Gulf of Eilat. According to a team from Tel Aviv University, the whole population of black sea urchins, a species known for keeping coral reefs healthy, was wiped out over a couple of months. And while some washed ashore dead, others were eaten by fish, likely speeding up contagion. Raging wildfires in Canada have burned through over 1 million hectares in Alberta, with Australia and New Zealand set to send assistance to tame the blazes. Local officials told local media outlets that the 1 million hectare mark is a significant jump from the 459 hectares that were burnt in 2022. Authorities have responded to 520 wildfires, 71 of those in forest protection areas, out of which 20 still remain out of control. Mexican authorities have raised the warning level for the Popocatépetl volcano to 1 step below red alert as smoke, ash and molten rock spewed into the sky. The volcano, located in central Mexico, is considered one of the most dangerous in the world because some 25 million people live within a 100-kilometer radius of it. 2 Mexico City airports also had to temporarily halt operations due to the falling ashes. And the yellow warning indicates that intermediate to high activity in the volcano and warns citizens to remain alert and be prepared for a possible evacuation.